Hey, 928, still an opportunity for you to get on the air and ask questions for Eric McEwen from Capital Hearing Clinic. All you have to do is give us a call, 613-789-6559, extension 2803. You can Facebook, you can tweet us and email us. And we do have our first question today, Eric, is via the Facebook, and it's a very good question. Hearing aids can be very expensive, there's no question about that.
Absolutely.
Right, especially for the newest technology and so on and so forth. So the question is, do seniors get any kind of break when purchasing hearing aid? That's from Heather.
Well, Heather, actually, you don't even have to be a senior. We're very lucky in the province of Ontario. We have a program called ADP, or Assistive Devices Program.
Yeah.
And the Assistive Devices Program is there for any Ontarian who has a hearing loss. So if you're tested by the audiologist, it's deemed that you have a hearing loss, you automatically are eligible for a grant of $500 per year.
Really?
And so that's really beneficial. In terms of my travels across the country, we're one of the few provinces that actually get help from the government.
Yeah.
So in Ontario, it's one of the least expensive places to buy hearing aids.
Is it?
Yeah, we're quite fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you get,
Right.
The cost of it, but...
The hearing aid manufacturers do all sorts of research, and they come up with a chip. That one chip can then go in any style or size that you want. They then turn things off. So you have a really expensive one, then they turn a few items off on that chip, and then you get a mid-range one, they turn a few items off, and they then have a low-range one.
Oh, okay.
So then that's how the price point changes within hearing aids in terms of the quality of the chip.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Excellent stuff, and a very good question, I might add.
That was a great
one. Let's get, I think Carrie's on the phone from Manotick. Hi, Carrie, how are you?
I'm great, and how are you doing this morning?
Very good, thank you. Did you have a nice weekend?
I had a wonderful weekend. My arms are sore from raking, though.
I hear you. Mine from shoveling. Anyway, you've got a young person with some hearing issues or some issues coming up, right?
Yes, actually, he's been diagnosed and is going in to get tubes put in his ears in May.
Right, which is not uncommon.
No, not at all.
No. So what do you want to know?
Well, I want to know how quickly am I going to notice a difference once he gets them in, and how exact do I have to be in the aftercare in that making sure there's no water in his ears, and how damaging would that be and that kind of thing?
Well, so it's great news that you're getting the tubes in. I think usually people get that because they have a lot of ear infections, so that's great news for your little person.
Right.
In terms of aftercare, you do want to make sure that no water gets in there. So I would certainly recommend some sort of a custom-made swim plug, and that way we can be sure that we're getting the best seal, because we don't want any liquid to go in through that eardrum. In our office, we make all sorts of custom-made things. Now, we can send out to a lab and have a really nice custom-made earplug done.
Right.
That's a bit more expensive, but we do on-site ones at Capital Hearing Clinic, where for $20 on each side, we can custom make it, and they're floatable. And as long as you make sure your child is wearing those in the bathtub and when they go swimming, that's really the best thing. And some ENTs might even recommend that they wear sort of a headband around their ears to hold the earpieces in.
Right.
And then you should be fine. So but I would be quite diligent on getting something to protect that ear.
Yeah, and you know what? Good question, Carrie. Good on you for being prepared.
On one of my next segments, I'll be in, and we're going to talk more about hearing protection. So I'm going to show you some of that. We're going to go over musicians' plugs. We're going to talk about these earpieces that you wear on television, swim plugs, and all sorts of things. And
I guess you mentioned once that you can get, last time you were here, you mentioned that musicians can get custom fitted. Right.
So we get a lot, I mentioned it once last time.
And then the phone's been ringing off the hook?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But it allows a musician, when they put in a standard foam earplug, it distorts the sound for them.
Yeah.
So we have one that's got a little diaphragm, and what it does is all the sound now sounds the way it's supposed to, just dampened by a few decibels. And it really, it really goes a long way for musicians to keep their hearing, which is really important.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
We've got Ken on the phone from Carleton Place this morning. Hi, Ken. How are you?
Good.
Good. What's your question today?
I was just wondering, I work with a lot of older gentlemen, and their hearing aids, the batteries seem to go dead, and they told me they last for 3 to 5 days. Do they have anything that's rechargeable, or because they're walking around, they can't hear anything?
Right, and they have hearing aids.
Yes, 99% of them have hearing aids.
Right. Good question, Ken, thanks.
And that's really good. As you see, some of the examples I had here on the table, the Siemens example does have a rechargeable battery.
That's this one?
Now, the rechargeable battery only carries a charge for 1 day. So every night when you go to sleep, you've got to plug your hearing aids into that little box,
Right.
and then it recharges the battery for the next day.
Right.
The one thing about hearing aids, like I say, if you're into high-end audio, they are doing all sorts of things. They draw a lot of power.
Yeah.
And it's always been a challenge for us as an industry to get the right technology based on the right power draw.
Well,
so
think-
we
yeah,
go
think
through
about-
batteries fairly quickly.
Think about the size of the unit itself and think about what they're doing. So
Right.
obviously it would take some power.
We get some people who say, well, why isn't it like my watch and it lasts forever? But your watch does the same thing over and over.
It doesn't
whereas
draw a lot of power.
hearing aids are switching into directional microphones, compressing sound, doing all sorts of stuff.
All right, we're going to take a break. Still time, though, to get your questions in for Eric. All you have to do is give us a phone call, 613-789-6559, extension 2803, or email, tweet us, Facebook us, do what you need to do. Eric McEwen here from Capital Hearing Clinic will be back with one more segment of Ask the Experts right after this.
Now all our memories, they're haunted. We were always meant to say goodbye.